Think back to last Friday. It's 5:30 in the evening. You've just finished a 45-hour work week. You're physically in the car or on the train, but your brain, it's officially dead. It's burned out. You're driving home, and the thought of cooking dinner seems as impossible as climbing Everest barefoot. And you do what every successful slave to the system does. You open the app, Thai food, pizza, or burgers, $50 including tip and fees. You come home, crack open a beer, or pour a glass of wine to somehow take the edge of this reality. You collapse on the couch and turn on a show you don't even like, just to turn off the noise in your head. And you whisper to yourself, I deserve this. I worked hard this week. But what if I told you that mathematically, you didn't just spend $50? What if I proved to you that that pizza, the gas you burned on the way, the shirt you ironed this morning, and the very stress that drove you to order that food, all represent hidden taxes that eat up to 70% of your paycheck? You think you're selling your time for $30 or $40 an hour. But after we conduct a forensic analysis of your life, it turns out you're working for less than $4 an hour. My name is Lily, and I'm obsessed with the invisible equations that keep you on a hamster wheel, running just a little faster than you can handle. If you're looking at your paycheck and wondering where the money is disappearing to, or if you're working harder than ever in 2026 and your savings account is stagnant, listen up. Today, we won't be talking about investments. We'll be talking about accounting fraud. And this fraud isn't committed by a corporation. It's committed by you against yourself every time you accept a job offer based solely on the dirty number in the contract. We'll calculate your actual hourly rate. And I warn you, once you see this number, you'll never look at a price tag in the same way again. The system has sold you a fundamental lie. You've been told that your value is determined by your annual salary. I make $70,000 a year. Sounds proud? That's about $33 an hour. Respectable. Enough to live on, in theory. But in the business world, looking at revenue without accounting for expenses is the quickest path to bankruptcy. If a bakery sells $1 million worth of bread but spends $100 million on flour and rent, that bakery is worth nothing. But when it comes to your own work, you behave like the world's worst CFO. You look only at revenue, at salary. You completely ignore cost of goods sold. And the product you sell is you. Your life, your energy, your time. And the price you pay for the privilege of selling yourself to your employer is simply astronomical. Let's conduct a brutal audit of a typical, successful employee. Let's call him James. James has a great job and that same $33 an hour. But before that money even touches his account, the government takes its toll. Taxes instantly turn $33 into $25. That's the easy part. Everyone understands that. But now we start subtracting the costs of operating James. First, transportation. The average American spends thousands of dollars a year on gas, maintenance, and insurance for a car they essentially bought just to get to the building where they get paid. Driving 40 minutes each way is wearing out the metal and wearing out their soul. Conservatively, we'll subtract $5,000 a year. Second, facade tax. James can't leave the house in pajamas. He needs suits, business casual, haircuts, dry cleaning. He has to look professional. This isn't his choice. It's a business requirement. It's an expense. Third, the convenience tax. This is the fattest vampire. Because James is locked in the office, he buys lunches because he didn't have time to pack the container. He buys $5 coffee because he needs a legal high to get through a 2 p.m. meeting. He pays for dog walking because he's not home. These expenses wouldn't exist if he didn't have this job. He literally spends money to be able to earn money. We've touched on money, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Now, let's talk about the most valuable currency in the universe, your time. This is where the fraud gets truly sophisticated. HR tells James he works 40 hours a week. James believes it and bases his plans around that number. But it's a blatant, cynical lie. Let's calculate the actual hours James invests in his employer. Every morning, James wakes up at 6:30. He showers, shaves, irons his shirt, and chooses his tie. That's 30 to 40 minutes of hard work. Do you think he does this for himself? No. If he didn't have to go to the office, he'd be lounging in bed or walking the dog in his pajamas. This is preparing a resource for use. This is unpaid labor for the benefit of the company. Then comes the commute to the office, 40 minutes each way. This is captivity time. He can't read a book if he's driving. He can't sleep. He can't be with his family. He functions as his own logistics manager. Then comes an hour for lunch. Technically, this is off-schedule time, but James can't go home. He's confined within a 3-block radius of the office. He's forced to sit among his colleagues and maintain corporate spirit. This time is a prisoner of work. Add the commute home, and now the most important thing, decompression. When James steps into the house, he doesn't become a free man. He needs at least 40 minutes just to compose himself. He sits in silence, staring at the wall, or unloads all the stress he's accumulated during the day on his loved ones. His brain is still processing his boss's passive aggression or a dull report. This time belongs to work, because work has ruined him. If we add up the preparation, logistics, the captive lunch, and recovery time, it turns out that James spends not 40 hours a week working, but 60 or even 65 hours a week. Now comes the moment of truth. Let's do some forensic accounting. We take the measly $35,000 James has left after paying taxes, gas, suits, and lunch allowances. And we divide that money by the actual time he devotes to the system. Almost 3,000 hours a year. Ready for the numbers? Drum roll. James, who proudly claimed to earn $33 an hour, actually earns $9.50. Look at that number. Think about it. $10 for an hour of your one and only life. That's less than a teenager makes flipping burgers at the fast food joint across the street. Why? Because a teenager doesn't need a $30,000 car to get to the fryer. They don't need therapy after their shift. They take off their apron and are instantly free, and James carries his office in his head, even to bed. This is the job scam. You've been tricked into a low-margin business model where you are the product. You sell yourself at a loss just so you can keep coming to work tomorrow. But why are we calculating this to make you cry? No. We're doing this so you can become a ruthless auditor of your own life. Once you know your real hourly rate, your perception of things will change forever. It's the money or your life concept. The next time you walk into a store and see a new pair of sneakers for $150, your brain shouldn't see the number 150. It should see 15 hours in hell. You should ask yourself, am I willing to give up 15 hours of sitting in traffic, listening to your boss yell at me, and missing my kids' school parties for these pieces of leather and rubber? Suddenly, the answer is almost always no. This math is the only antidote to consumerism. It exposes the golden handcuffs trap. We often accept a raise that gives us an extra $10,000 a year, but requires even more time and even more status-conscious spending. You take on more responsibility, buy a more expensive car to keep up, and your stress grows exponentially. As a result, your actual hourly rate may even fall after a raise. You're pumping more money through your bank account than ever before, but you're left with less freedom in your pocket. You're becoming a rich slave, simply servicing your debt and your status. You're a conveyor belt through which money flows from your employer straight into the pockets of luxury goods manufacturers and pharmaceutical companies. I know what you're thinking. Cool, Lily. Now I know I'm broke and my job's a scam. What should I do? Quit and go live in the woods? No. We won't indulge in childish maximalism. We'll do what the world's best CEOs do. We'll optimize margins. Your life is a business, and until now, that business has been unprofitable. You've been working for revenue, not profit. But from now on, your primary metric is not your salary, but your real hourly rate. It's the only measure of your success. Remember, a person who earns $50,000 a year, spends $20,000, and works 30 hours is a thriving, wealthy empire. But a person who earns $200,000, spends $190,000 on maintaining their status, and toils 80 hours is a bankrupt person, standing on the brink of ruin. The former has a margin, the gap between income and expenses, where their freedom resides. The latter has only a gilded cage. How do we crack this equation? 3 steps to your independence. Step 1. Kill the containment vampires. Every dollar you spend to work is poison. If you spend 2 hours a day commuting, you're giving your employer 10 hours a week. That's 500 hours a year. If you can work remotely at least 2 days a week, you'll instantly give yourself a 20% raise without asking your boss for a dime. Stop buying office food. Stop buying fancy clothes to impress people you don't care about. Every dollar saved on work show-offs is a dollar of pure freedom. Step 2. Enter vanity tax. The system wants you to be a donor. It pushes you to buy things that you buy only to numb the pain of work itself. It's a cycle of absurdity. You work to buy a car, to get to work, to pay off the car loan. Stop spending money on decompression. If you need to get drunk every Friday or buy designer clothes to avoid feeling worthless after work, then your work is costing you too much. You're not healing the wound, you're just buying temporary anesthesia. Step 3. Calculate your slavery coefficient. Take the price of any product and divide it by your real rate. That same $9 or $10. Want a new iPhone for $1,200? That's not $1,200. That's 120 hours of your life. That's 3 full work weeks of sitting under fluorescent lights and listening to your boss yell at you. Are you really willing to give up 3 weeks of your earthly existence for a piece of glass and aluminum that will be trash in 2 years? If not, put your card back in your wallet. This tension between your desire and reality will make you richer than any investor. The biggest secret to wealth isn't earning a lot. It's having the largest possible gap between how much you need to be happy and how much you actually receive. This gap is your freedom. The wider it is, the less power the system has over you. Rich people buy time. Poor people sell it at a discount. The system expects you to be too tired to make this calculation. They want you to believe in the gross paycheck and never look under the hood of your life. Do it this weekend. Sit down on Sunday while your mind is fresh and do an audit. Calculate taxes, gas, lunches, dry cleaning, and commute time. Find your true value. Write it on a sticky note and stick it on your monitor. That's the value of your life. And if you're not happy with it, start changing the rules of the game. Don't be like James. Don't be a loss-making enterprise. Start building your margins. Because in the end, you won't remember your annual bonuses. You'll remember the hours that were yours alone. My name is Lily. I've given you back your time. Now go and take it back from those who are used to getting it for free. See you in freedom.